Good morning. It's good to see all of you online today. I'm Robin Hale with the OUUC Tech Team. Welcome to all who are joining us on whatever platform you are using. This Zoom service is being recorded and it is streaming live to YouTube. We are leading worship from several locations today, so you see the service move back and forth between us. Most of our sharing happens in the Zoom chat box, which is not posted or shared publicly. We use the chat feature for greetings, song lyrics, affirmations and applause, and items shared from the heart. We'll be turning the chat on and off during the service today. We can expect some tech glitches as we continue to do all we can to optimize our connections. If you experience any technical issues during the service, you can reach out to Joe Celine or another member of the tech team for assistance when the chat is on. We appreciate the grace as we all remember, it's about connection, not perfection. Last, I hope you will find a candle or a chalice. In a moment, we can light them together. Thank you for your grace and adaptability as we all learn together.
Good morning, friends. We're going to try a first on our Zoom meeting. We're going to sing a 4-part round. I have some members of the choir here in the Commons, and we'll be singing with mask on, and I'll give you a long shot of the room so you can see. We're going to sing There Is a Love. The words are by Rebecca Parker, and the music is by Liz Norton. Just remind you how it goes. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. And you can start with me, I'll start, or you can then sing with Arlene, she starts second. Or then you can sing with Joel, he's going to start third. Or you can sing with Anna and Paul, they start fourth. And we'll sing it 3 times. The first time we'll sing There Is a Love Holding Me. Then the second time There Is a Love Holding Us. And then we'll finish with There Is a Love Holding Me. Are you ready to make history? All right. Nope, I did the wrong camera. I knew I would do that. There we go. This is all of us. I'm putting my mask on, and we'll start. There is a love holding me.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love.
Thank you for singing around.
Good morning. Welcome to the Olympia Unitarian Universalist Congregation online worship service. The OUUC community comes together in the mutual promises and possibilities of our covenant. We commit to live out our mission to be a liberal, religious community that opens minds, fills hearts, and transforms lives. We're so glad that you are here today. My name is Alicia Seegers Martinelli. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a member of the worship arts team. Leading worship with me today is Sarah Lewis, our Director of Community and Faith Development, and Troy Fisher, our Music Director. We give thanks to the tech team and OUUC Media Specialist Joe Saline for providing technical support today. And thanks to Darlene Sarkala, our administrator, for keeping us informed and connected. And we are grateful for the many hands that helped make worship happen this morning. We welcome each of you to this celebration of love and wonder and to this congregation. After service, we invite you to stay online for a virtual coffee chat. This is a chance to get together with a small group to say hello and to check in. Each breakout room will be hosted by someone to make sure everyone knows each other and has a chance to share. Sarah will offer reflection questions to get the group conversation going. We hope that you will stay. I want to draw your attention to the order of service available on our website, which includes our announcements. Plan to stay after today's coffee chat for our talk show, After Church with Melanie Ransom. Today, Melanie interviews Zoe Myers, who is somewhat new to OUUC, but not new to Unitarian Universalism. To participate, just return to the main session after the coffee chat breakout rooms. This afternoon, you are invited to and welcome to take part in a second of 3 congregational visioning sessions. We'll focus on discovery, identifying strengths and core values to guide future planning. Join us at 1:30 p.m. to share stories, to celebrate OUUC, and to learn from each other. You can find the link in today's service announcements and on our website. Stay tuned to the weekly update on Tuesday for information about the online version of Books, Brownies, and Beans. And last, plan to join together in community to celebrate the life of Brad Gupta on Friday, March 19 at 7 p.m. This day and time is to welcome Brad's family and friends in India for this online remembrance. You will find the Zoom link and more on the OUUC website and in the weekly update. There are many opportunities to stay connected in our community because social distancing does not mean social isolation. Please check the website regularly. If you have questions or need help, please check in with a staff member. Now, let us open our hearts and our minds as we prepare for worship. Welcome, everyone. It is good to be together. This morning and every Sunday morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition. Please join me as we light our chalices together with these words by Reverend Suzelle Lynch. Each time we light the chalice, we renew our commitment to our Unitarian Universalist faith. With the spark of a match, we make it new again. As fresh and surprising as the first day, we encountered the spiritual community and realized we were home.
Our opening words are offered by Rebecca Parker. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question. What will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice, anesthetization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. Together, that is another possibility waiting. Come, let us worship together.
Let's sing together again, hymn number 1028, The Fire of Commitment. From the light of age remember, words of beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, and our promise finds fulfillment, and our future can begin. From the stories of our living brings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to a life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment, and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new
today is called Hosea Ballou and the Muddy Children. It's by Janine K. Grosmeyer. Over 200 years ago, in a small house in a small town on the edge of a forest in the state of New Hampshire, there lived a small boy named Hosea. Hosea was much like other children, probably a lot like the children here today, or what you adults were like when you were children. He liked to learn and do new things. He was always asking questions: what, why, how? And just like other children, he liked to play. He had 9 older brothers and sisters, and they would play hide and seek or tag. In the winter, he liked to jump in snowdrifts. In the summer, he liked to jump in the creek. In the fall, he liked to jump in piles of leaves. And in the spring, he liked to jump in puddles. Doing all of these things got Hosea very dirty. Sometimes he would have mud on his hands or his feet. Sometimes it spattered on his clothes or even on his brothers and sisters' clothes. Yes, Hosea loved mud, but you can imagine that not everybody in his family liked it quite as much. His mother had died when he was not quite 2, so now his older sisters took care of him. His sister, who did the laundry, scrubbing the family's clothing by hand in big wash tubs, didn't like having to scrub all that mud off Hosea's clothes. And his sister, who kept the little children clean, didn't like having to heat a wash tub of water in front of the fire and scrub Hosea. And Hosea didn't like having to stand in a wash tub and have water dumped over his head. So his sisters went to his father and said, "Father, please tell Hosea not to play in the mud." And Hosea's father told him sternly, "Hosea, don't play in the mud." "Why?" asked Hosea. "Because," replied his father, who was a preacher in their Baptist church, "just as we try to live a good life, to be kind to other people, and to follow God's plan, we also try to stay clean." And Hosea tried. He really did. He stopped making enormous mud pies or jumping in mud puddles. But the world was still a muddy place, and sometimes he would get dirty by accident. And then, if he was already dirty, it didn't seem like it could hurt to jump just once or twice. His sisters once again went to their father to have him tell Hosea not to get muddy. And Hosea was called before his father. Hosea was sad because he had tried, most of the time anyway. "Are you angry with me, Father?" "I am disappointed in you, Hosea, and I am a little angry with you." Hosea hung his head. "Do you still love me?" "Hosea," said his father, not sounding quite so stern anymore, "I will always love you, Hosea, no matter what you do." "Even if I get muddy again?" "Yes." "Even if I get really, really muddy?" "Yes." "Even if I get mud all the way up to my eyebrows and between my fingers and my toes and my hair?" "Even then," replied his father with a smile. "But remember, Hosea, you must try to stay clean." "I'll remember and I'll try," said Hosea. And when Hosea grew up, he studied the Bible and found that he had universalist beliefs, which was the belief that God loved everyone and would not send anyone to hell, that God would bring all people into heaven, even if they had done bad things. "How can you believe that?" his father asked him. "Because, Father, I remember what you told me when I was small. I believe that even if God is disappointed in his children or a little angry with them, he will still always love them." Here ends our story. together in community this morning, bringing all that is in our lives. In this space, we draw on the strength of our community to listen deeply and hold all that we bring here with us. If you would like to send in something to share, please look for the link on the online worship page on the OUUC website, or send Reverend Mary an email and we'll bring it into the service next week. In this space, we share from our hearts what brings us joy and sorrow, what brings us worry and delight, what makes us afraid, and what makes us dance. Let's open our hearts to the complexity of life, our own and others. You will hear a drum beat as we share today. It brings into our awareness that our individual hearts beat, and together we create the heartbeat of our community. Right now, I invite you to take a breath as we open our hearts to receive the complexity of all that is in our lives and community today. Today, we mourn the loss of over 5,000 Washington residents to COVID-19 in the past year. We extend our hearts and care to the families, friends, co-workers, and communities of each individual who has died. May we hold them in love. I invite you to share from your heart by entering in the chat box on your screen. This is the time to share all that you wish, joys and sorrows, and whatever else is shared from your heart. As we take in what is posted, let us hear the heartbeat of our community and reach out our hearts in love and care to all those who share. I place a stone in the water for all that has been shared from the heart. A stone holding the complexity of our lives, held in the water of community. We will place one more stone in the water for all that we hold in our hearts, and that remains unspoken. I invite you now into a time of reflection, prayer, and meditation. Spirit of love, be with us. Let us feel you around us and within us. Some of us are happy today. Celebrate with us. Some of us are struggling today. Comfort us. Some of us mourn. Grieve with us. Some of us hurt. Give us strength. Some of us have made mistakes. Forgive us. Spirit of love, fill our hearts that we may love and be forces of love in this sometimes hurting world. Let us hold a moment of silence together. May it be so, and blessed be.
Let's sing together hymn number 391, Voice Still and Small.
Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear your call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still you remain, singing. Calling my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years,
Our prayers and meditations deepen our gratitude for what we know is sacred in our lives and in this world. Each Sunday, we express our gratitude by joining together in service to our community and to something greater than ourselves. The offering collected here does two things. It supports the ongoing good work of OUUC, which is also supported by your regular pledges. And this offering supports an organization that serves our community in harmony with our Unitarian Universalist values. This month, our Share the Plate recipient is Grub, or Garden Raised Bounty. Grub is a nonprofit organization working at the intersection of food, education, and health systems to grow healthy people, food, and communities. We have a video to share about their good work.
Hello, Olympia Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Elise Crone, and I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the director of the Wild Foods and Medicines program at GRUB, or Garden Raised Bounty, here in Olympia. We are so excited to be a part of OUUC's Share the Plate this year. Thank you so much for your interest in our work. Driven by the belief that everybody deserves a place at the table, GRUB's mission is to grow healthy food, people, and community. We are inviting the OUUC community to join us in fostering youth and building food security, physical and mental health, and connections with the land through our 10 Gather and Grow K-12 curriculum. In response to COVID-19, we have received multiple requests from tribal communities and local schools to develop outdoor education learning toolkits. And your generous support would help us to continue to create and distribute home learning kits to local tribal communities and parents and schools. We hope you will join us in a movement to get kids outside, to reconnect them with local plants and animal communities, and to increase food access and lift up Native voices while we teach STEAM concepts, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. Thank you so much. Please check our website to learn more about our programs and ways that you can engage, and we hope to see you soon.
Please note that you can participate in the offering by making a donation online through the church website or by texting the number on your screen. You can also make a check to OUUC. Our community partners continue to need our financial support. May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
Immortal, forever full, forever flow. a never-ending sea. Our outward lips confess the name, all other names above. But love alone knows whence it came and comprehended love. Blow winds of love awake and blow the mists of hate away. Sing out, O truth divine, and tell how wide and far we stray. The letter fills the systems full, and every symbol waves. The Spirit oversees all, eternal love remains.
Thank you, Anna and Arlene, for the beautiful song. And thank you, everyone, for your generous gifts. Today's reading is My Commitments to Myself by Laura Mancuso. I take care of myself first because I am deserving of exquisite care. I take care of myself to maintain the capacity to help others. I move and stretch my body every day. I spend time in nature, attuning my senses to the earth's wisdom. I ration my daily exposure to the news. I identify and access credible sources of information. I protect myself from becoming overwhelmed by information about the pandemic. I pace myself. I sit with the reality of uncertainty and impermanence and allow it to temper my desire for control. I listen without judgment to others' reactions, which may be different from mine. I forgive myself and others when stress brings out our shadow selves. I feel fear fully when I am fearful. I experience sadness fully when I am sad. I allow anger fully when I am angry. And I relish joy fully when I am joyful. I seek out healthy pleasures and indulge in them without guilt. I remind myself that feelings are transient states that move through me. They do not last, and they do not define me, nor do my thoughts. I balance my drive for self-improvement with compassionate acceptance of myself as I am now. I initiate contact with loved ones to let them know I hold them in my heart. I seek out with increased sensitivity those who are most vulnerable. If possible, I share my resources with those who need help to survive. When possible, I move away from people, situations, and experiences that do not serve my highest good. I strengthen my connection to my sources of spiritual strength so that I can continue to be replenished. I acknowledge the nearness of death as a key motivator for living a full life. I pray for the suffering of all beings to cease. I grieve my losses and celebrate my successes. I remain open to new ways of being, surprising sources of joy, and unanticipated discoveries each day. This ends our reading.
I've been a Unitarian Universalist for almost 30 years, having found this tradition in my teens. And over those years, I've occasionally stumbled on the long name. It is a long and awkward name for a faith tradition, isn't it? And so we shorten it, saying that we are UU, which doesn't mean much to the uninitiated, or saying that we are Unitarians. It's tempting to drop the Universalist part. But today I want to lift up that side of our heritage and remind you of some of the reasons we should be happy to call ourselves Universalist. First, a bit of history. George de Benneville, doctor, author, preacher, arrived in America in 1741. Bringing with him his Universalist faith. De Benneville had converted to Universalism following a profound experience of love that brought him out of a depression of many months. In his own words, reflecting the gender understandings of his time, he suddenly knew, quote, "He loved me before I was born. Oh, what grace. He loved me in my fallen estate when I was wholly lost. Oh, what mercy. He even loved me when I was altogether unworthy, and freely too. Oh, what love. Hallelujah. Amen." For the rest of his 90 years of life, de Benneville worked to spread that love to others. Besides working as a medical doctor, he established a ministry to the Native Americans and served as a schoolmaster as well. He preached and had theological works translated and printed for distribution. He wasn't seeking to start a new church or denomination, for he said, quote, "No church is pure in all things, so none can be found that does not contain some truth. Glorious truths are found in every church and religion under the sun, and this glorious chain of truths which we believe will someday unite all of them into one form of love." End quote. At the same time that de Benneville was arriving in America, John Murray was being born in England. He was a Calvinist preacher until he learned one day that a woman of his flock had become a follower of the Universalist James Relly. Seeking to bring her back into the flock, Murray went to visit and try to convince her of the error of her ways. In the end, she did more to convince him of Universalism than he did to convince her, and John Murray became a Universalist soon after. Shortly after his conversion, his young wife and child became ill, and he fell into debt. Following the deaths of his family and his own time in debtor's prison, he was depressed and lost his faith, deciding to go to America to lose himself in the wilderness. However, upon his arrival in America, John Murray encountered a farmer named Thomas Potter, who had built a chapel on his farm and convinced Murray to preach a message of universalism there. Murray found his faith in love and goodness renewed and went on to found a Universalist church and to remarry and have a happy life. One of the next generation to preach this radical good news was Hosea Ballou, who was featured in today's story. An itinerant preacher, a self-educated man from rural New Hampshire who preached primarily to the working classes. He was spurned by the educated elites of Boston, but he was a highly successful preacher, and Universalism reached its heyday during his ministry. Ballou thought of theology as the science of human experience and was more interested in lived realities than in abstract concerns. It was through his study of scripture and the logic of lived experience that Ballou came to the conclusion that not only did God love and would eventually save all of humanity, but that love extended into this lifetime as well. He believed that God wanted humans to be happy. In Ballou's own words, quote, "If the Almighty, as we believe him to be, did not possess power sufficient to make all his creatures happy, it was not an act of goodness in him to create them. If it be granted that God has both power and will to save all men, it is granting all I want for a foundation of my faith." End quote. While we modern Universalists may or may not believe in an all-powerful or even semi-powerful God, I think we can appreciate Ballou's viewpoint here. Maybe we weren't created by a design that included that we be loved and happy, but our being is a legitimate miracle of creation and evolution, and we do have miraculous capacity for both love and happiness. The first African American to be ordained as a Universalist minister was named Joseph Jordan. Born a free man in Virginia during the time of slavery, Jordan learned to read and write and became a successful business owner, landlord, and Baptist minister. From his perspective as an African American, he preached of the punishments that God would surely afflict white oppressors with. Then one day, someone gave him a book on universalism, and he found himself drawn to this message of universal worth and respect and love for all, even the oppressor. Jordan traveled to Philadelphia to study with Universalists there and was ordained by the Universalist Ordaining Council in 1889. The Universalists supported him in starting 2 churches and a school in Virginia, and thousands of African American students received an education because of his family's efforts. Olympia Brown was born to a Universalist family that valued education, including for women, but she had to stubbornly fight the sexist establishment in order to be admitted first to St. Lawrence University and then into the ranks of ordained clergy. She became the first woman to be ordained by a denominational body in America in 1863. Brown served as parish minister, but also traveled and spoke on the subject of women's suffrage. The work of women's rights would be her calling for over 30 years, ever motivated by her faith. In her own words, quote, "Stand by this faith, work for it and sacrifice for it. There is nothing in all the world so important as to be loyal to this faith which has placed before us the loftiest ideals, which has comforted us in sorrow, strengthened us for noble duty, and made the world beautiful. Do not demand immediate results, but rejoice that we are worthy to be entrusted with this great message. that you are strong enough to work for a great true principle without counting the cost. Go on finding ever new applications of these truths and new enjoyments in their contemplation, always trusting in the one God which ever lives and loves." End quote. These 5 stories are just some of the best known stories of universalism, but countless others have found hope and strength in this faith that tells the good news of love. All are loved, all are worthy, all will be saved, whatever that looks like. There is no hell except what we make in this life now when we become separated from love because of human actions. In these stories of universalists, many of whom faced tragedy, loss, oppression, and other struggles, I see the truth that there is always a love there, even in the face of difficulty. Love doesn't come just to us when we are happy and successful, but like sunshine, is a reality for all. It's a powerful thing to truly know and accept that you are loved. You are worthy now. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to prove, and nothing you need to earn. You are loved. This message has always called to me and is a large part of why I am still a Unitarian Universalist. But I also know that it can be hard to accept. Our society of competition, grades, and capitalist productivity conditions us to strive toward achievement and find fault with ourselves, not feel ourselves to be the recipients of unearned grace and abiding love. And yet, how would your life change if you could hold that truth in your heart? Would you be gentler and kinder to yourself? Would you take better care of yourself, knowing that you are a miracle of great worth? How would you live if you placed love at the center of your life? But it's not just you who is loved so completely. Everyone else is too. This one might be even harder to accept. Everyone, even the annoying, even the unfair, even those who have done awful things? Yes, actually, everyone. No matter what anyone has done, they are still held in that love. This doesn't mean that we have to accept all behavior or that there shouldn't be consequences for causing harm. But it does mean that no one can be simply thrown away. As death row lawyer and activist Brian Stevenson says, no one's worth is defined by the worst thing they've ever done. How would we treat one another if we remembered this? That everyone is worthy, that no one is outside the circle of love. Hosea Ballou believed and wrote that the purpose of life is to be happy, and that happiness as a state of being would naturally move people to compassion. In other words, we could not be truly happy unless we were acting in accordance with love. This understanding of happiness is not a selfish state of being, but instead posits that, being loved unconditionally, we are moved to therefore love in turn. We are called to happiness. We are loved, and we are meant to be happy. Accepting this as true might mean a radical new commitment to yourself and your happiness. If you are like me, you may go back and forth between accepting this to be true and then hearing those negative self-talk voices that say, no, you can't be happy. You haven't worked hard enough, or you haven't accomplished enough. As much as you can, stop listening to those voices. I am loved, you are loved, we are all loved, and we don't have to do or accomplish anything to earn that. By all means, you don't have to stop doing or accomplishing. Feel free to keep on working, doing what you need to do and doing what you want to do. Just know that you don't have to do those things in order to be loved. Being loved is about your being, not your doing. And then the flip side of the call to happiness is the call to justice. UU minister Reverend Nancy MacDonald Ladd wrote, quote, "If God's name is love, then God compels us to resist the fall to sinful violence by pushing back with muscular resolve against the social structures that confine our capacity to care. A universalist God for a tragic era is not a gauzy, hymn-singing force of personal devotion that draws us endlessly toward itself, but a fierce and compelling power that grips us by the collar amid our rebellious descent and calls us to choose the will to mutuality all over again, even when that choice is so risky that it could utterly remake us." End quote. This image of being gripped by the collar may be difficult to reconcile with the all-loving God, but love takes many forms. We can be and are loved in our imperfections and failures, and called to continue improving and answering the call of love to side with justice. None of our 5 historical universalists just curled up with the satisfying knowledge that they were loved and therefore saved. No, they worked to bring about more love and justice in the world, each in their various ways. What is love calling us to do for justice now? Who and what in this world needs more love? Where is the world hurting? There is no lack of work to be done from what I can see. So here is the conundrum. You are loved as you are, fiercely so. And you are called to love others, fiercely so. And between those two truths lies the need for discernment. We each need to discern our capacity for the work of love and where our particular hearts, heads, and hands can do the most good. It is no good to help the world by hurting yourself, for you are part of the interconnected world as well. We cannot heal one part of the web by harming another. At the same time, it does no good to pull inward and simply try to shore up self. We are all interdependent, and ultimately, your salvation and wellness is tied up in everyone else's salvation and wellness. Isolationism and individualism won't work in our deeply interwoven lives. And so discernment is called for. How can you be whole and well? What do you need for your own sacred well-being? And what are you called to do for the world? You won't be able to fix it all, so you'll have to know when you've landed at enough. We each just have to do enough. And my enough will be different from your enough. Everyone's enough is different. How do we do this discernment? By listening with the ear of love, I believe. What is love telling you right now? How would love ask you to treat yourself? How to care for yourself? How would love have you treat others? This is big love, remember, love with a capital L. I believe that if we listened with the ears of love and felt with the heart of love, our discernment would come to us. We would know when it is time to be and when it is time to do. We would care for ourselves and others. We would increase the capacity of love to make justice and to show mercy in this world. And so this is my big ask. Take some time to listen for love. Sit with love and know yourself to be loved. Your very being is a miracle, and you are surrounded by universal love. Be with that truth. And then listen for the call of love in action in the world. What would love have you do? In what ways can you increase the love and justice in this hurting world? Do what you can, what you are called to do. May love surround you, fill you, and hold you. May you be the head, heart, and hands of love in this world. May it be so. Let's be in silence together for a moment. Blessed be.
Let's sing together hymn number 95, There is More Love Somewhere. And I'll let you sing along with the congregants that are here with me today. There is more love somewhere.
We extinguish our chalices with these words by Brian Keeley. The chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each one of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet.
Let's join together in singing our unison benediction. How bountiful the blessings that surround us. We come together, grateful to be one, as we go
Please stay online if you'd like to join in virtual coffee and conversation. You'll see an invitation pop up that will invite you to join a breakout room. Please introduce yourself to anyone you don't know. Thank you for building community today. If you are new to OUUC, we'd love to hear from you. You can fill out a visitor card in the link in the chat. If you're not planning to stay for the coffee chat, it helps us divide evenly if you find the red Leave Meeting button and step out. The coffee chat breakout rooms will end after about 20 minutes, and we'll warn